Looking to start a church, business, or nonprofit organization in 2022? Do you need help forming an LLC, applying for a copyright or trademark, revising church laws, crafting a succession plan, or developing a compensation package for your pastor and staff? Contact the law office of Travell Travis, a Richmond-based legal boutique focused on the needs of pastors, entrepreneurs, creatives, and our community. Let's make your vision a reality in 2022. Visit TravellTravis.com. That's TRAVELL Travis.com. If you're concerned about the future of your organization when you step down, then where will the mantle fall? A biblical and legal guide to succession planning is a must-read for you. It delves into the scriptural and legal aspect of succession planning, characteristics of successors, the people, the process, church bylaws, common myths, even issues with nepotism. Where will the mantle fall? Written by Richmond's own attorney, Pastor Travell Travis, and available at Amazon.com.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Mantle Mondays. I'm your host, Travell Travis, and we're so honored to have you with us tonight as we have these weekly candid conversations with entrepreneurs, authors, pastors, and leaders. If you're interested in learning more about entrepreneurship tonight, how to start your own business, how to work your way out of a job, how to set acceptable prices, how to build a brand, tag somebody, inbox somebody, take the link and text someone, let them know that tonight we're on the air with a true entrepreneur, true man of God, and one I think that you will learn a lot tonight from hearing about his entrepreneurial journey to where he is tonight. We met some years ago. I'll try to remember how many years ago, but at least probably over 10 years ago. He visited our church when we had a guest speaker, and our families immediately connected. We have watched his matriculation as a minister, as a husband, as a father, as an entrepreneur. I think every round of family photos that we have taken as a family, he has been our family photographer and friend. And so recently we had some conversations with him, and he was just dropping so much knowledge. I said, I have to have you as a guest for our Mantle Monday series. And so I'm going to invite you once again to like, invite, share, tag. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're also on LinkedIn and Twitter. And this podcast will also be replayed on Apple and Spotify. So even if you don't catch it all tonight or catch all the nuggets, you can go back and watch it and replay it tonight. But I truly believe if you have you're an actual entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur, you'll learn a lot from this conversation tonight. So without further delay, to introduce to some and present to others, he's the owner of Dwayne Morris Photography here in Richmond, Virginia. You've seen him all over Richmond, the Commonwealth, Virginia, and many other places. But tonight, my friend, my brother, Dwayne Morris. How you doing, sir?
How you doing? Thank you so much for having me.
It is an honor. It is an honor. I've been fortunate to teach entrepreneurship at Hampton University for 20 years, just finished my 20th year. But in the 5 to 10 minutes that we talked you were dropping so much knowledge and information that I was gleaning. I was sitting there lapping it all up. And so I said, I have to pick your brain a little bit more and share this information. I have a lot of students that not only are interested in entrepreneurship, but also interested in photography and videography. And you're at a level that they are aspiring to. And so I know there's a lot of information that you can share, perhaps for those who are looking to follow your pattern. So once again, thank you tonight for being on. My first question, I'm going to hit you hard with a first question, then we'll ease up a little bit. But a question that I've heard with now everyone seemingly being paparazzi and photographers, anybody who has an Apple device, we'll leave the Android people alone. But those who have Apple devices, they have now top pixel cameras, lenses in the camera. People can download free apps that allow you to alter pictures and make them look better. So what is the relevance or the need or the benefit of a photographer in 2023 when seemingly everybody got the stuff to do it themselves?
So I guess the main benefit of having a photographer versus an amateur or someone with a phone is that one, if you have an event or a program, you get to enjoy your event yourself. Like while you're holding a camera or a phone, you are not able to actually enjoy the event you're doing. You know, the photographer is able to catch those moments of you, of your family, and then you get those images and you're able to relive them later on and see those memories. But the other thing is, with a professional camera, we're able to, print those photos out for you, blow them up on a larger scale. Whereas a phone camera, those items, those pictures get pixelated because they aren't, able to stretch as far as they need to when you go to blow them up. So that's another thing that we help with. So one, you get to enjoy it. Second way, the quality is a lot better.
Great, great, great. So what you're a photographer, and I know that that term is probably thrown around loosely, probably to a point where it's offensive to you when people say that they are a photographer. But what would you say is the distinction between having, I guess, a hobby and having a side hustle versus having a true profession? You've gone, you've moved, you've matriculated through those stages. How would you say, what are the distinction between those stages of maturity and development as a professional?
So I guess a hobbyist just has a camera. They just take pictures wherever they go. Somebody may see them, somebody may not. They might post a few here or there. But being a professional, you have a client. You have client base. You are, creating a product that people are seeking after that they want to purchase and use. A hobbyist, again, they do it for fun. They're not concerned whether or not someone likes those pictures or not. They're shooting it because they love to do it. Whereas a professional, I may love the picture, but it's my job also to make sure it's a product that my client's going to love. If that answers that question.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who love what they're doing so much because we tell people find something you love doing, you never have to work a day of your life.
Right.
And there are people who whether it's cooking, childcare, photography, graphic design, they love what they do. It is natural to them, and sometimes they have a hard time pivoting to say, "Okay, I'm now in the business of
Right.
this." What was was there a struggle for you in making that pivot, or was there a certain event, certain client that made you realize, okay, this is not just a hobby or a side hustle. Like I'm really good at this and I can really take this to a next level if I apply myself?
I will say that the pivotal moment for me was when my hobby, my passion, started picking up speed. I started taking pictures, randomly out of the blue. I don't know. I had a friend, who had a camera and he was shooting around at events and stuff. I thought it was pretty cool, but picking up my camera and taking something for some friends, I got $100. And it's like, ooh, I can make some money with this. Working all day on a, regular 9 to 5 and you make, $150, $200, but I can do this in a couple hours. It intrigued me, as a business minded person. So I just kept doing it until my skill set got better. I started charging more, and then I started picking up more clients and more clients. And then my part time hobby started making pretty, decent money. Where I figured once I can dedicate that amount of time to my full time, like take my full time hours applied to my hobby and my passion, would I get that same income? And I was able to do that, consistently. And that's when I decided this was a profession and no longer just a hobby.
Wow, wow. How would you distinguish yourself in that matriculation as well? You're not just a photographer, but now you have a photography business.
Okay.
What would you say is the distinction between someone who is, like you said, a freelance? If you need me, holler at me. Okay, I get paid. I'm now full-time staff. I have a facility that I manage, scheduling, marketing. Now you have to handle the whole apparatus of
Right.
the business of Dwayne Morris Photography. How do you juggle the passion for the actual act of photography now with the, I guess you would say, the stress or the extra elements of being in the business of what you love doing?
That's a loaded question. I would say just being a photographer
Mhm.
is one thing. Like somebody who's just running around taking pictures. But as a businessman, I set prices to meet the needs that I have for my business. I have a studio that I'm sitting in now that has lights, it has water. I have to pay rent for my building. All those things go into play when it comes to what I price my services at. So, when somebody said, "Oh, well, you're expensive," or "I can't afford that," then I realize, that I may not be the photographer for you. There's someone else who can do that. But I also, look at the market. I see what other professionals are charging. I've set, goals for myself that I want to earn. So based off the level of services I'm providing or the number of clients that I'm serving, I try to reach those goals. I've done, professional development. When I first started off, I was just shooting around, but then I started learning from other photographers who are in the business. I started going to national photography organizations. There's Professional Photographers of America, and then there's Imaging USA, a conference that they host, that they have other photographers coming, and they teach us more about the actual business of photography. There's the Wedding and Portrait Photographers International, that's held out in Vegas every year. And
Mhm.
they travel, each conference, they travel different places, but they all teach us about the business, how we can further ourselves, how we can better serve our customers. And those things right there just help set me apart from just somebody who's taking a picture. I'm actually going to, stay up to date with what's going on in our industry and try to deliver those services.
So it's not just a one is a devotion to your craft that you're
Right.
always intensely trying to improve and do a better job at what you do. And so with your pricing, there's a level of, hey, I have to invest in me, not only my time, to be trained, to have the latest equipment, to have a nice place where people can come and have their pictures taken if they need a place to have those pictures taken. Were you always comfortable with charging people what you're entitled, or is that something you had to grow up to?
Pricing is a thing that's very uncomfortable.
Okay.
In a way sometimes. So like when I first got started, I was just like, I'm just gonna charge this extra, $100. I can do this for $100
Yeah.
just because it's fun. But as I started to invest in my equipment, I needed the latest equipment or a camera that cost me $3,000. I can't charge, somebody
Mhm.
$100 for something I used to charge people for when I had a camera that cost me $500, a whole
Right.
kit. That's just the camera body. But understanding, the equipment, all the things like marketing that I have to do to actually get clients. I have to, the time it takes to edit a photo. Some pictures, you can shoot and just deliver, but some actually take extra, processing. You got hair that's flying away. You have people who are uncomfortable with their size, people who have, skin blemishes they want taken away. All of that, goes into that pricing. So just understanding, I guess, my worth, understanding what I'm putting into it, help me to, determine that cost. Then the other thing is like when you deliver a level of service and if at the end of that project you feel like, wow, I did a good job, I'm happy, I'm going home, you know, you're satisfied. But if at the end of a project and you're like, man, I'm not charging enough, you get tired of doing that a couple times and then you start charging what you need to charge.
So is that now you named off different things. Do you literally have to sit down quarterly, annually, and look at the numbers? So like you said, there's a certain amount of time,
Right.
there's a certain amount of experience, reputation, market forces, what people are willing to pay, what's an acceptable rate. But then there's also those hard numbers of, hey, this is what I need to break even, and this is what I need to perhaps live comfortably or have the quality of life. Is that something that's done periodically, or do you have to bring in a consultant? Is that your accountant that says, hey, this is your price matrix, this is your range based on what you gotta make, and that's your floor, and here's your ceiling, maybe based on these other intangible things?
Any business owner will tell you they're in business to make a profit. I'm not out here to break even. I don't want to end in the red. I want to be in the green, black, or whatever you call it. And we have to look at those numbers. Like at the end of the day, it's fun to have a lot of clients. It's fun to say I'm shooting this person, I'm shooting that person, like celebrities and all that stuff. People do that for free. But at the end of the day, if it's not bringing in the money that you need to live, then you're out here doing yourself a disservice. Some of the things that I've done, of course, I don't ever want to overcharge people. I don't want to give them, a price that's without of their reach. I want to definitely be, fair to my clients. So I do market research. I see what other photographers are charging in my area. I realize that, cost of living affects all of that. Of course, the cost that it costs me to do services. Then I also communicate with mentors. Whatever your industry is, you have to have a mentor that is somewhere where you want to go. You can't, just base it off, oh, I just want to make this amount of money, I'm going to charge this price. Because then you'll charge yourself out of the market also. But you have to make sure that, you talk to mentors. Ask them, like, is this, the right price? Of course, you look at your cost, but am I being fair with this? Earlier on, and even sometimes now, I've had mentors that have told me, like, you're not charging enough. You need to charge more for this. You need to charge more for that. And then I've also had conversations with them where they said, your pricing has to line up with the service that you're getting.
Right.
I don't expect, a brand new photographer coming out to charge my prices.
Right.
They don't have the level of, expertise that I have. They don't have the number of years in service. They don't have the equipment. All those things add up to what, I charge. You look at the pricing sometimes, they say, oh, you charge this much per hour. It's not, you're not paying for the hour. You're paying for the level of knowledge. It takes me 15 minutes to do what it used to take me an hour to do. Okay. So I can get you in and out quickly, but you're still going to pay for that same service, regardless of the time it takes to do it. So all that is factored in.
Is it appropriate to have to, not that you have to justify or explain yourself, but do you find it necessary at times to educate people on that, what you said? Like, sometimes people are just not aware. Some people are just stingy. They trying to, get over on you. Or they trying to get a hustle. But there are some people who generally just don't understand all that it takes. Do you take that time to educate them? Is that part of your marketing strategy, is to kind of educate them? Or do you just use platforms like this to kind of school us? Like, for people who may just don't know, how will we find out?
So people who don't know, that's a good question. I had a client. I'm gonna give you 2 examples. There was a client of mine that I've worked with for several years. I shot her wedding. I've done like headshots for her and her husband. I've done several things around, over the course of a few years. She recently got interested in photography. She went and bought her camera. Don't want to say too much, but it was like a lower end camera. She's, trying to learn. She said, I just want just enough. So she got her camera. She bought her some lights, and she set up a sheet in her house, and she took some pictures. She was proud of her work.
Right.
It was okay. But she took, I think she might have taken like 100 or so pictures. I'm not sure. But she, told me about it later. She called me the next day, was like, hey, I really need a headshot. I'm going on some marketing material. And my husband said I need to go ahead and call you. Oh, no, not call me. She said she just needs to get some professional pictures done. So she called me. We set up an appointment for the next day. She came in. took a few minutes. She didn't have a chance to get her hair done or makeup, but we took a picture. After showing her what I had, she's like, wow, you know, she instantly saw the difference from her doing it herself to the pictures that I showed her. She still wasn't satisfied because she didn't like how she came, you know, wasn't prepared. So because this is a friend, somebody I, you know, worked with before, I said, look, I got a couple of events to do today. I'm gonna come back later. I booked her an appointment with my makeup artist, told her to go get her hair done. Later on the day, she came back with her hair professionally done, with her makeup professionally done, and then she had a professional picture taken with my camera. I have 3 examples, and eventually I'm gonna make this post about this. But I'm gonna show the difference. You have your do-it-yourself. It will get you a product. You have your hair done by yourself and a professional photo. You will see all the details and flaws in it because the camera and lighting will do that for you. And then you have a fully done professional product. Each one will show you different things. So it's all about what level of investment does the client want to put into it? How do they want to present themselves? And that helps determine pricing. That shows the client, hey, you can do it yourself.
Right.
But do you want to present yourself in that light? So pricing is definitely goes that way.
And some people won't know what better looks like until they're exposed to better.
They have to be
So they're
exposed.
perfectly
Absolutely.
fine with what they have, and then they see like, oh, now I see the difference. And so that's
Right.
that's that part of that learning curve. Like, oh, there really is something to you doing this versus me doing it by myself. And you said you had a second example, or was that was the same?
So that was one.
Okay.
The second example was this weekend, somebody needed a photographer. They posted on Facebook, I need a photographer. I didn't know about the post, but someone else contacted me. It's like, hey, I got this person who needs an event shot. Can you help them out? I reach out to the person. I'm like, my rent rate is the number per hour. They're like, whoa. I'm like, that's the price. That's what we gotta go with. And he said, okay, well, let me see. He says, actually for somebody else. Let me reach out to her and let you know. He gets back with me. He says, hey, that's a little steep for her. Can we adjust it a little bit, to this rate? And then we'll make it sweet. We'll make sure you do 3 hours. It'll average out. I'm like, okay, I'm willing to work with you. Then I show up. I have my camera, of course, and I'm there, ready to shoot. They see me and it's like, whoa, that's a nice camera you got there. I was like, mm-hmm. Then we get talking, as it been going. He said, you do this, full time? I said, yep, I do. He said, oh, that's why you charge that price. I'm like, yes, sir. So
right.
Again, it's that education. He thought, when people reach out for a photographer online, I love when people tag me in it, and I just share my webpage, and that's it. Like, I do not chase clients. I don't have time, to explain to everybody why my rate is my rate. It's like, if you want me, go with me based off of what you see. Like, you see the service, you can look at my portfolio, you can look at my website, you can look at my Instagram, and you see the work. If you connect with a photographer, not even just me, if you connect with somebody else, pay them what they're worth, because they're charging what they believe they're worth.
You've dropped so many nuggets. I got like 4 lines of questions, and I hope I can remember all 4 lines of questions that I want to pursue with this. This one may be the shorter one. In that negotiation, where this was your price, and the person was like, well, maybe can we negotiate something less? At what point in your career did you realize that not all money was good money, and that sometimes the best deal is the deal that you walk away from?
Ooh, so all money is not good money. I do not negotiate my price if I do not feel it's a good opportunity.
Okay. Is that a gut thing? Is that certain red flags? Is it certain things they say in their conversation that just kind of like, I've heard people talk like that. You don't really value me. Is there certain things you're listening for in the conversation?
I listen for it. It's also based off, sometimes you have to research your client.
Okay.
Is this somebody that you really want to work with?
Right.
Sometimes people sometimes the people that ask the most, or people who have the most reservations or have the most needs, and you give them those breaks, they end up in the end wanting more,
Right.
or they bad talk. You know, they talk about your services, or it wasn't worth this, it wasn't worth that. So you just have to kind of feel out, like you said, a gut feeling. You have to fill them out and see if this is really something that I'm willing to deal with. And then sometimes if they can't afford your services, their event may not even, or what they want captured
Mm-hmm.
may not even be up to the level of something that you want to market. Because every thing that I shoot is something that may end up on my Instagram page. It may
Right.
end up on my website. Do I want other clients to see that?
Right. Right.
So does it represent my brand? Is this something that I want to be associated with? So all that comes into factor with it also.
I want to shift a little bit. You mentioned the role of mentors. How do you find mentors? Aren't they threatened that you're a competitor looking to ultimately replace them? Is it somebody that you see online or at a conference? Like, how do you establish mentors in your profession?
I've been fortunate enough to have mentors in every stage of my career. When I first picked up the camera, there was someone I knew who, like I said, had a camera, and I borrowed his camera, to shoot. He gave me some pointers. I picked up from there. I ran with it, what I could. As I journeyed in 2017, I saw another photographer's work. And I was like, that's when I went to get incorporated. I wanted to register with the state, and I wanted to have a professional picture taken by someone else. So I saw someone's work that I liked and admired. So I wanted to meet this person, and I linked up with him to shoot. Um, After shooting with him, in his studio, I knew that I wanted to learn studio lighting. So I talked to him, we connected, and he became my mentor for studio lighting.
Okay.
He had a studio, I didn't, a professional one. I was shooting out my house. That's where we shot.
Right.
Your first family photo shoot back in 2015, I believe, was in
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
house. But in 2017, I started learning studio lighting. I connected with him, and we learned together. Like, I taught him some stuff,
Okay.
or I had things that I knew or connected with, and he had some things. So it was a give and take. So it became a place where we both could learn. It has to be a mutual. I believe a mentor is someone that you both work with,
Mhm.
mutually. I may be able to serve. Like, you don't go in always trying to take, but you're able to serve, and you give back to that person, and they're willing to give, more to you, and you're able to learn from there. As I grew out of that, or in that relationship that I'm still, we have a working relationship. I've met other photographers along the way. And each time, you connect well with that person. They are doing something that you want to do. They're at a place where you want to be, and you have to be willing to serve and sit under this person to hear what they have to say. And
So you
then
don't feel
they
like
become
I know it all, and it somehow belittles you to learn from somebody else, or do you realize, hey, if I'm going to get better, I got to be willing to learn whenever there are moments to be further informed? Because I
anybody.
say this, Dwayne, and I say this because some people, they know they need a mentor, but somehow they feel it is beneath them to reach out to somebody because it's almost an admission that they don't know it all. And so, why am I going to reach out to you, especially if you're at my same level, or mentors should come to me, they should seek me out, and so you just stay in your ignorant island.
Right.
But there has to be a certain level of humility to say, hey, even if what I do know, I can learn more, even if it's just a piece of the puzzle, if you're willing to reach out to somebody and ask. So is there a certain humility that comes along with that, or ego, or you have to put that aside? Like, I ain't gonna ask him nothing. He should be asking me something.
Well, you definitely have to put aside your pride.
Okay.
But I would say anybody who feels like they know it all, they have it all, and that's all they're going to have. They're going to
Wow.
be stuck in that place. If you want to go somewhere, you find where you want to go, and you reach higher. You
Mhm.
reach out to get to that place. I had something else to say with that. Have you? What you said? Did you reach that place? I mean, I forgot the thought. But basically, that mentor, like you have to, I guess, find somebody who's where you want to go.
Right. I love
What was
that.
the second part of the question?
Now, you know, I got my train of thought. I'm thinking, I'm reading, I'm processing. Now, you mentioned that at this point, a lot of your marketing is word of mouth. And I have students that, you know, they're just getting started and they're saying, oh, I'm not going to spend money on flyers or commercials or, you know, it's social media and word of mouth. But I said, well, you have to create a buzz. You know, word of mouth is because people are thinking of you in order to talk about you. But if they don't know you, they can't think about you or talk about you. So there has to be at least something, I guess, that gets the ball rolling. Can you go back in time? You know, now it's word of mouth. But how did you start marketing yourself? Was it business cards? Was it flyers? Was it just volunteering? I know one event you volunteered for, and then next time they ask you to pay. Is that what it takes to kind of get going?
I think the first thing you have to know, I don't want to say this, you have to know yourself,
Okay.
know where you are, look at your work, assess where you are.
Mhm.
If you aren't getting the jobs that you want, volunteer, like you said, volunteer to go where you want to go.
Mhm.
Offer them that service, and if it's worth paying for it, they'll pay you for it next time.
Mhm.
Definitely, I'm blessed that photography is a show and tell business anyway.
Right.
Your clients, they like your work, they're going
Right.
to share your work.
Mhm.
Somebody else is going to see that work, and they're going to want to know where the work came from. You're in law, in the law business.
Right.
As you practice law and you do great work for people, people see, when somebody see that someone else needs a lawyer, they'll say, hey, you got to
Right.
call, my lawyer. He's excellent. He, does great. With a mechanic. If you
Mhm.
fix cars well, people tell the story for you. Your best marketing is good work, doing good work. Um, my business really picked up steam when I created my Google page as I
Okay.
was trying to get, solidified. I was like, clients start leaving reviews on Google. And when
Okay.
people go to Google now, they search for a photographer in my area, and I get a lot of business off people just seeing my work on Google.
So that's it's word of mouth and it's recommendations. People get looking at the number of stars and what people are saying, and so you have a, but you're doing that intentionally. So it's not just. I had a client. They didn't want to have a website. They didn't want to have social media. They're like, well, I've been in business long enough. People know me, and then they didn't realize that they had an online presence, but they were not in control of it, that other
Right.
people have created basically reviews of their business. And sometimes the more passionate people are the people who have a negative experience. So she had all these reviews and they were largely negative. And it's like, well, if you don't counter that with something you control and can kind of address, when people do the Google search, like, man, it ain't but 5 reviews, but all 5 are negative. Now, those could have just been the 5 out of 100.
Right.
But that's the 5 that people see when they look you up. So you said now you do a Google. Can you elaborate a little bit more? So you're now more in charge of your online presentation?
So I would. So I've been doing Google since probably 2017 ish, and my page got created around then. On
Okay.
Google now, like if you Google me,
Mhm.
anybody out there, Google Dwayne Morris Photography, and you might even put it in Richmond, Virginia, and you'll see my Google page. I think there are about 30 or so reviews on there from satisfied customers.
Okay.
In the month of March alone, I served March or April. I've served about 40 customers. I did
Wow.
40 sessions, events, shoots, and not all those people go on to Google. I don't tell everybody to go on there. People just, if they found me on Google, sometimes they just go back randomly and do it. So that's just a small portion of it. But definitely putting out good service, protect your integrity. Treat every client like they're your best client, which they are. At that moment, they are the client you have in front of you. They're your best client, and they'll do the work for you.
So you mentioned, we talked about marketing, we've talked about mentorship, word of mouth. I want to ask you about networking. How important it is. So you have a Rolodex. I assume you got the lashes, the nails, the cosmetologist, the makeup artist, the seamstress. You know people, they know you. How important is it? Yes, your business, you do it. You're somewhat in isolation, but yet at the same time, you're part of a community. How important is it for an entrepreneur? A statement has been said: your net worth is connected to your network. Is that a true statement that you found for your business as well?
Yes, your network is connected to your net worth. If you associate with people who aren't going anywhere, who aren't doing anything, then more than likely you aren't going anywhere and you aren't doing anything. Um, my makeup artist that I use, saw she was looking out for a photographer at the end of last year in December. And I looked at her page. She did great work. I connected with her and said, hey, look, I want to form a partnership. I need somebody I can send all of my clients to. And if that works out for you, it works out for me. She said, great. Her studio is located about 8 minutes down the road, like on the next exit. Every client that goes to her,
Mm-hmm.
every client says, oh my God, Alicia was excellent. Oh
Mm-hmm.
my God, she offered me advice on
Mm-hmm.
what to do. I didn't know what to do. I had this question. She did that. She does consultation with them also. Um, when she reaches out to them ahead of time, they go to her. She's on time.
Mm-hmm.
She's there. She's ready for them. I don't have to worry about is my client gonna come to me late.
Right, 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 right,
Timeliness, and this because I may have 3 sessions in
right,
a day.
right.
They may be back to back. I, want to be on time, so I send them to somebody who I know is going to deliver the service. So my clients go to her happy. They
Mm-hmm.
come to me happy. They go out the door happy.
Right,
That's my
right.
network. If I do printing service, I
Mm-hmm.
print with a reputable company. I don't go to Walmart. I don't go
Mm-hmm.
to CVS. I don't go to Walgreens. I have a professional printing company
Mm-hmm.
that prints my products. My
Okay.
clients, again, they came to a professional, got professional work. I printed professionally. They get a nice, non-pixelated product that they can
Mm-hmm.
hang on their wall and be satisfied and proud
Right.
to say. So that network, the mentors, the
Mm-hmm.
photographers that I work with, if I, happen to not be able to show up to an event, I have trusted people that I can send in my stead.
Okay.
My network is still tight where I can send somebody and not be worried about it. Even with the mentorship part, I train photographers that have
Mm-hmm.
come through my studio, people that have reached out to me and said they wanted some help. I work with some people to the place where I can send them on jobs.
Mm-hmm.
They're part of my network. They help build my net worth because I can send people if I can't go. I can have a day where I have 5 shoots and I don't have to do all 5. I can send
Yeah.
some people in my set to that event and we both are paid.
So for the person who's bashful, can you be bashful in business? I know some people are shy and they're timid, but can you really be successful in business being bashful and shy? Because it seems like you have to somewhat be an outgoing person or willing to get out of your comfort zone to meet new people and build relationships with people. And if you're not a people person or a person who's willing to cultivate and sustain those relationships, there's a limit to how far you can go, at least in your industry. Do you find that to be true?
I would say everybody has their strengths and
Hmm.
they will connect where they connect.
Okay.
It seems like I'm an outgoing person, and most of the time I am, but deep down, I'm kind of introverted. I
Right.
go and I do everything I need to do, but at the end of it, I need to go into my place and recharge.
Okay.
Um, Definitely, I sometimes feel socially awkward. I go into some areas and I'm like, I may be in a corner. I'm gonna find someone to connect with,
Hmm.
but you have to find your place where you connect, and then you'll flourish there. If you're shy and bashful, just continue to strengthen yourself, continue to strengthen your skill set, and continue to be, um, reassured and reaffirmed,
Hmm.
and what God has placed in you to do. And God will definitely open the doors that are made for you.
I want you to like, share, invite, tag somebody that's an entrepreneur, aspiring entrepreneur, looking to go from a hobby to a side hustle to a full-time profession. We have tonight entrepreneur Dwayne Morris Photography. Across the bottom of the screen, you can visit his website. You got your family reunions coming up, weddings, wedding anniversaries, conferences, convocations, your professional headshots, preachers. If you are a preacher in 2023, you need a professional headshot for the flyer, not something with a whole lot of crazy background, something that is going to be clear when it is on the flyer, whether it's on social media. Go ahead, get your nice haircut, get your nice suit, contact Dwayne Morris so you can get those professional shots. And now you need different type of shots. You need it in your choir dress, you need it in your civic attire, you need it in your business attire, business casual, different angles, different events, different poses with your spouse, without your spouse. So it's interesting, like you said, we photography has shifted. You're not necessarily got a camera taking your roll of film to the drugstore and putting it in a photo album, but with social media, you need a quality picture. And you need it for the flyers and the booklets and the different media things that are being published. And so you need somebody like Dwayne Morris. He'll make you look better than how you actually look. You might have to add that as a little slogan. We'll make you look better than you actually look. Let me ask you a question about time. You mentioned time to get away for yourself. You mentioned you're a husband, you're a father. You talked about time in terms of, starting on time, ending on time. I'm going to ask you from a professional standpoint and then from a personal standpoint. With photography, I could imagine time abuse is prevalent. Meaning, hey, it's a 2-hour event, ends up being 4 hours, right? Or I'm coming to a photography shoot, and I saw this in your contract. I think only 2 wardrobe changes, because I can imagine if somebody's saying, "Hey, I'm coming to get a certain amount of pictures taken," but if I gotta change outfits 10 different times, that what maybe could have been done in an hour now is 2-3 hours, because now I got to get my hair done, I got to do this done. How do you, as a professional, control your time? Do you just walk away from the job? Are you more clear in your contracts about time? How do you control your time in a profession where time can be easily abused?
I take time very serious. As I mentioned earlier, sometimes I might have 3 shoots on a day, sometimes more. It just depends on the day. But when I talk to a client in booking consultation, we talk about what they're looking to, cover. When they go on my booking link, there are different packages. A headshot is 30 minutes, a personal portrait session is an hour, and then it goes on from there. I even have an unlimited session where you can book for 10 outfits. However many you can fit in that time frame, you can do it. But that will be for people who actually, know what they want to do. They do their study on their poses. They have, an outfit for this event. I have an outfit for that. I want a brand for this and that, whatever it is. But I still consciously, as I'm shooting, if I seen that pose a couple times, I'm gonna do another pose. All right, it's time to switch. Let's change out if we're gonna do that. But basically, a client comes in, we're gonna talk. I'm gonna put their music on. They're gonna, if they want one outfit, I'm like, come in your first outfit. Manage, that helps you with the time. We'll shoot, we'll get what we need, make sure they're happy, and then we'll switch to that next outfit. And keep moving on so that we can have time to review the images and get them out the door on time. I
cut somebody off? Have you ever just cut somebody off? That's enough. You're done. You're or do you just be graceful? And like, how do you?
It depends. I've had to say, we're finished. Because again, we can shoot more outfits, but that means you're gonna want more retouches. So that's in the upcharge. We can price and do what we need to do, but I'm also communicating to the client so they understand that if we continue going, you'll have to, pay that. You mentioned my contract. Like when you pay that invoice, it's up to you to, again, remember your contract. If we have a wedding or an event that's, you chose the 4-hour package, and I advise you that you might need 6 or 8. When your 4 hours is done, I kindly remind you, and I have to go because you didn't respect my time enough to pay me for what I charge or what I'm worth. You want to cut corners, so that's the corner we're going to have to cut, unless you want to pay for the rest of that time. So all that goes into, respect. Like I want to respect you and I want to give you everything that you deserve, but I need what I deserve too. So.
And you have to do that yourself. It's not like you have an agent or a manager. So they prepay, they sign the contract 4 hours. Now it's creeping into 5, 6. Now you personally have to go to the head of that event and say, hey, you pay for 4. I have another event, or, you only pay for this. Is that something that you had to grow to have that conversation? Because I assume after you've probably been burnt enough,
right,
it get old very quickly, and you get very comfortable very quickly telling people enough is enough. You need to add more to the bill, or what? How do you handle that conversation?
Well, for one, if it was a 4-hour contract, we'll just say 4. We're using that number. It wouldn't creep to 6 or 7.
Okay.
But by the time we get to 3, I know
you tapping somebody on the shoulder.
I are on the program. I know that you're going to run over.
Right.
And most of the time, depending on the type of event or wedding or whatever it is, like I've done them enough that I know, most people when they get married, this is their first wedding. They don't know how to go. I'm like, I can see the energy of your clients.
Right.
Of your, your guests. They're getting antsy. So that's a conversation with the coordinator. If they're not on it, sometimes they're on it, sometimes they're not. And I'm like, hey, we might want to do this garter toss. We might want to do these things. You may have an idea, but it's still up to that client. This is your event. If you don't want to do that, well, it was nice working with you. Thank you so much. But as for me and my camera, it's time to go. So but sometimes I'm able to be flexible. And if I and the client, we have an agreement, if they're pleasant, and I don't have where to go, we can work through it. Sometimes you might just have to pay extra for what you need after the fact. There are so many ways that it can be handled, but most of the time, I try to keep that open communication with the client so that we're able to come up with an agreement that everybody can work with.
You, as I mentioned, your husband, father, two children, were boy and a girl, correct?
Yes.
If you don't work, you don't eat. But yet, if you don't spend time with your family, you won't have a marriage, you won't have a home.
Right.
How do you balance being on the hustle, being on the grind? Like, I'm just thinking, somebody books a photography shoot. Do you have to think ahead of time, oh, this is my child's award ceremony this day, so make sure I don't schedule somebody? Or, hey, I'm supposed to pick up my child from school. Now this photo shoot has ran over. Like, how do you make sure that your business does not encroach on family time?
Balancing family and business is such a tightrope because I have, like you said, I have to eat. My family likes to eat. So I use my calendar. I try to pre-schedule things. Family time, I'm like, look, if we want to do something, I would like to do this ahead of time. And it's not always easy. It doesn't always work out, but I definitely do my best to block off that time on my calendar if we have something that I know is coming. If there's an event or something that is going to be close to that or something, near or shoot, I tell the client in advance, like, hey, at 5 o'clock, I don't tell them. I don't allow it to get there. If I'm going to book a shoot that day at 3 o'clock, best believe at 4:30, if it takes me 30 minutes to get to that, if it takes me 15 minutes to get to the school at 4:30, I'm cutting out of here because I want my child waiting at the school, or we have something that we have to do. I always believe in respect. If the client is going to, if they want respect, it's the same thing. Give me respect in my scheduling, but I don't always tell them it's a family thing. I just say I have another appointment, and my family's appointment.
So does that? I'm thinking about the logistics as well of that. Is that I have my business calendar. Do I then share my business calendar with my spouse? Do we have a family calendar that now is shared with? Like, I'm imagining there's essentially at least two calendars that you're trying to balance, and then as the kids get older, they all have their own individual almost calendars. Is there like a daily meeting, weekly meeting, monthly meeting? Like, how do you, is it, or is it just, hey, we got a Google calendar, you put what you got to put on here, and we all can see the same common calendar? Like, I'm just thinking about even from my own house, logistically, how do you make sure that things don't get double booked as the family calendar gets more complicated?
I will say that each family has to figure out what works best for them. I can say that I haven't always done it right. In the beginning, it was definitely a lot of learning.
Mhm.
I've forgotten to put things on my calendar. I've been with my family and a client, reschedule, and I forgot to change it on my, on my booking link. And they were waiting for me, and they had to wait for me to get there because I had a family obligation. But through my booking system, it links to my phone, so I have one calendar. Thank God for apostolic phones. If you're not, but Apple calendars, Google calendars,
Right.
my studio calendar, they all sync on my phone. So when I
Okay.
look at my phone, they're color coded. I know what's going on, and I
Okay.
try not to book there. Since January, I've allowed clients to book directly on my calendar, and
Mhm.
so if I know that I have something going on, I just block off those time slots so that they can't do it. And then with my wife, she's been a blessing to me because she kind of understands most of the time what I have going on.
Mhm.
She she sees my passion. She knows what I like to do, what I love to do, and she most of the time allows me to just go ahead and do what I have to do. But I communicate. I try to communicate. Hey, I have this coming up. I'm gonna be gone this place or that place. And for the most part, we're pretty good with that. She lets me know something with the kids going on. I put it on my calendar. I'm like, everything goes on my calendar, even down to going to the grocery store. Sometimes, like I need to go pick up this, or I need to pick up my dry cleaning because I don't want to miss anything, and it requires me to organize. Even working in ministry, I have church
Right.
things that I have to make myself available for, and sometimes emergencies happen, things pop up out of the
Mhm.
blue, and if I have to change something, I call a client like, "Hey, I'm so sorry, I got this going on, I need to move," and most of the time they're willing to work with me, and if they aren't, then I have to, sometimes honor my contractual obligation. I remember, a couple years ago, my bishop died. He passed. I didn't attend that funeral because I had booked the wedding that day,
Wow.
and that wedding was booked months,
Wow.
before we couldn't anticipate that happen.
Wow.
I hated to miss the funeral,
Wow.
but unfortunately, that wedding day is a once in a lifetime,
Right.
prayerfully for this,
Right.
couple, and I didn't have anybody I could defer it to. But I
Right.
also didn't want to give that money away that I had
Right.
already received. Was
Right.
already accounted for. So sometimes, we make those sacrifices when we have to, but it's all based off of that person. What are they willing to miss out on? Another thing about balancing, people always say, "Well, you're always traveling, you're always going somewhere." I'm like, but while a regular person is at work,
Mhm.
you know, if I do an hour photo shoot, and I can be at home. It depends on what's going on. I try to make that time available while I'm there. No, I'm not perfect. No, I have not done everything right, even in that. But I try to make up for that time or to use my time wisely while I have that time.
So on one hand, it's more demanding, but in some ways you have greater flexibility because you can kind of block off the times that you need. You mentioned your wife. How much of your success would you say is because of the support of your wife? And you want to give a shout out to her or say anything about the importance of a supportive spouse in entrepreneurship?
you definitely have to have a supportive wife or spouse in entrepreneurship. 20, 2008, so 15 years we're coming up on in August. And, to God be the glory for, what we have been able to accomplish as a family. And she married me, she wanted a man of God. She wanted this, she wanted that, and I checked off those boxes for her back then. As we have grown and matured, I've always had an entrepreneurial mindset, and I, ventured off in this place and that place until I came on to photography. And she's been right there with me. She supported every opportunity that I've tried. She reminded me the other day about a slogan from one of the other businesses that, I had, do you or someone drink coffee, tea, or hot chocolate? That was like a organic gold business. But whatever, I've done, like, she's been right there, it has helped to have her support and to have her understanding, and, we're better before it. I've also told her something like, look, you don't have, I want to get to the place where she doesn't have to work.
Right.
I'm like, I want to support our family. I want to have other streams that are going to do that for her. But she, she enjoys working, with her, students. She's a teacher. She loves her kids. And she's like, I'm going to work there until, I can't work anymore. But I don't want to say something like that. But, something like that. She said something like that. But I admire that in her because she knows who she is. She knows what she wants out of life. And when anybody else, questions, where she at, why she's not there, if she chooses to stay at home and she wants to get her rest or she wants to take care of the children, that's her thing. She allows me to work on my passion, and she does what she needs to do. And then when we come back together, it's, is what we do.
I'm just thinking about your journey, your decision to accept Christ as your Lord and Savior, your decision to accept your call into ministry, your decision to get married to your spouse, but also she was very supportive, and I would say probably professionally one of your biggest decisions, which was to leave your career in education. Can you take us to that? One of the questions in promoting this, we said learn how to work yourself out of a job. You have education. You have a degrees with S on it. Was ascending in the educational hierarchy. Could you go back to that moment in time where, well, go back, tell us how you got into education, where you were in education, and the moment to say, okay, I'm leaving education to pursue photography professionally, exclusively, and that decision making process.
Ooh,
Like, invite, share, tag. You want to catch this part before he shares it.
as a teacher, as an educator, it's a very demanding job. If you know a teacher and it's the end of the school year, teachers are celebrating that summer break. Buy them a Starbucks gift card. Go get them some gift cards to, whatever their favorite grocery store is so they can go buy whatever snacks they want to buy and kick their feet up. Get them a spa package. Whatever you got to do to support them, do that. Because teachers serve all year long. They are with, people's children more than, the parents are sometimes, especially in the school year. They are the parents, in that moment. But thinking about that, teaching, I served, I gave all that I had, and then I started doing photography, and my business started picking up. I was getting clients and I was working overtime, I felt like, and I wanted to have the opportunity to give that same amount of time and energy to my business. My wife saw that. She saw, me working. She saw me sweating. She saw me, cry sometimes because I I love teaching. I love the students, and I was getting my master's in administration, which I did get. I passed the test, the school leaders licensure assessment. I got my leadership, added to my license, and I could be a principal now if I, was hired for the job or assistant or whatever it was. But as I saw the joy on my clients' faces as I started delivering product that I was proud of. That sparked the fire in me. That gave me the energy that I needed. And I knew that, like, when I wanted to leave the classroom, all I needed was 5 shoots in 2 weeks to replace my teacher salary.
Wow. Wow.
At that time. 5 shoots. I'm like, 10 shoots a month, that's 10 hours versus 40 hours in a work week. Like,
so was Dominic like you're crazy? Like you're thinking about leaving what? And you're gonna do what? Or was she just like, baby, I see it on you. I got you. Let's make it happen.
We had a series of conversations. And I guess she says this about me. She says, one thing about you, if you say it, you're gonna do it. Or if I think about it long enough, but I start talking about it, you're gonna do it. She said, so you're just gonna do what you're gonna do. But I cried about it. I was like, I don't know. I was working at a year-round school for 3 years. That last one I finished up. COVID hit. It was just so much happening. And I was like, I cannot do this another year. So I said, maybe I'll just pull back. I'll scale down. I'll go to a regular school next year. I'm going to lose money because this school was paying me a couple thousand more to be at that school. But I was like, I'll just cut back and go here and give them, less hours so I can give more hours to my business. That summer, I worked hard, to make sure I was getting my income. And it's like, wow, I'm actually exceeding my teacher salary.
Okay.
That summer. I was like, yeah, but I need the benefits. I need this. I need that. Like, so many things that I don't know what to do. But I really felt the tug on my heart. I felt that tug in my spirit. And I felt like God was calling me out. He saw what I was doing. He saw the passion. He saw what I wanted. And I felt like, deep down, I felt like God told me it was time. But I was like, God, I can't do it. I mean, I was like, just really can't. And, that goes back to that mentorship piece. I had been 3 years, doing studio work. And I, connected with this teaching. It was called Shooters Camp at the time, or it's still called Shooters Camp. A mentor I found on Instagram or something like that, and they were hosting this camp to teach you how to make, they said extra $4,000 in your business, or something like that a month. Replace your salary. I was like, okay, let's see what they're talking about. It was a 6-week course where once a week they were going through things, and I was like, I already know this, I know that, but I really wanted to hear what he had to say. So I invested in that program. I paid for that mentorship. They had videography also, and I did not know videography. So I was like, let me learn that. But whatever it was, I spent $10, $20, $30,000 on a college education to pay that loan back.
Right.
Surely I can invest in something that I want to learn, something that's going to help me replace that. So what is worth a try? So I did that. And in that process, I just, felt like I was getting closer and closer to that end goal that I wanted. And we had different assignments we had to complete each week. And I was completing those assignments. And I was like, man, this is good. I was meeting with people. And like along the way, I just felt like God was using different people, to speak to me. And I was shooting one day, and this young lady was just, pouring back. And she's like, I can see you doing it. Like, she did not know I was even considering this thing.
Right.
Like, along the way, different people, different messages, even at some of the services, were just speaking to me, like pouring that faith into me, and my faith was just ignited. And I'm like, I trust God. Like, God's gonna take care of me no matter what I do. If I put Him first, and if I believe in Him, then it's all gonna work out. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and I believe I'm walking in Him. I'm walking towards Him. I'm giving my tithes. I'm faithful in my offering. I'm like, God, I want to give more. How much can I give? I want to give more. I love giving tithes. It's like, God, I did it. I did it for you. I gave, I worked hard, and I'm able to give. And like each time I'm able to give, I give cheerfully. And I believe God is going to, continue to bless me in that area so that I can give. So I was on the way home from working with that client. The new school year had started at that school that I had transferred to. And it was like new teacher week, and I taking all my stuff in, and after being off all summer, having my own time, going back in there just seemed like I was on a bus. Like, I'm sitting there, I'm not focused, I'm not paying attention, but I'm like, I have to provide for my family. I have to do this. But it's like, how am I going to do this? And it just really weighed on me. I'm like, and at that point, if something weighs that heavily on you, then whether you're going full time for yourself or whether you need to find another job,
Right.
it's not worth it in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, whatever you're doing is weighing that heavily on you. Don't sacrifice your mental health. There's a lot of talk about mental health these days. People are doing things that they feel like they have to do, and there's another way. You just have to do the research.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just give up out
Right.
of the blue, but you
Right.
make a calculated decision. You pray about it. You talk to God. You talk to mentors. You talk to whoever you need to talk to. Put your plan together and work yourself out of a job. And I felt like at that point, if I give myself and my business that same energy I gave my full-time job, that it'll all work out. And I called her and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. And she said, okay,
Wow.
I'm gonna talk to my
Mm-hmm.
she talked to her business department and was gonna switch me over
Mm-hmm.
to see if I'll be getting on there. Because what I did that summer, I was paying for Obamacare. I mean,
Okay.
and I was paying for my own stuff. I was doing what I
Right.
had to do.
Right.
But of course, the road would be easier, joining in with her. When she said that, I knew it was time. I said, yes, I got the green light. Let's go. But even in that, like that, once I resigned from the school before the school year started, because I didn't want to, meet the kids and make that even more harder. I laid on the bed that Monday morning. I was like, what did I do? Like, how am I gonna make it now? And then I remembered, you have pictures to edit. Get
Mhm.
up, go work. And from that point, I was just, pressing my way through it, and it just increased from there.
I see a question. I mean, I think you've kind of explained upon it. How involved is God in your business decision process? And I guess we take that from not just the getting started, how you prayed, and I love the fact it wasn't just you got up one day and had a dream that night and said, I'm quit my job. I mean, you really did do your due diligence. I'm talk to my spouse. I'm talk to mentors. I'm gonna pray about it. I'm gonna really put my business plan together and really map out how this is going to work. And when you felt that leading of God and that confirmation from God, that green light from God, you said, God, I
Right.
trust you. I'm going to do that. How important has been a man of God, a man of prayer, a man of faith, been instrumental in your success in life and as an entrepreneur?
I mean, we all, people always say we got to put God first, and it's really what we have to do. We really
Mhm.
have to pray about it and trust God. I feel like all the decisions that I make in that, aspect, I definitely feel like God is guiding me. If I shouldn't do something or shouldn't go somewhere, the Spirit speaks to you. You just
Mhm.
have to be listen. And I feel like if it's not something I should do, then I really feel it deep in my heart. I feel like my spirit is, pressed to the point that it's somewhere I shouldn't go. Like that February when I resigned from the school system that I was in, like I resigned in February from that school, knowing that
Mhm.
I wasn't going back, and that contract ended in June. I was like, I need to go and get a plan B, go to
Right.
the other. But the steps, were being made. The preparation was being made along the way to get me to the place where my faith was strong enough to actually trust God to do what I need to do. So
And,
along the
and,
way,
and some people don't understand it. We talk about the Holy Ghost and how it functions in the church, but I've always said Holy Ghost will make you a better entrepreneur. It'll
it
make you a
will.
better lawyer, better doctor, better nurse, better corporate executive, better teacher. And so what you're talking about, the Holy Ghost will tell you, don't take that assignment, don't take an engagement, add this to your contract. Make sure you ask them. I imagine you've been in conversations, consultations, and the Lord will press on you a question, and you ask that person a question, and maybe based on how they respond to that question, let you know, okay, this is something to do, or maybe this is, or hey, did you just hear what they said? So the Holy Ghost is not one dimensional. It's not just limited to the four walls of the church, but it will go with you and help you even in the marketplace
Right.
to lead you and guide you. The Scripture says into all truth. Dwayne Morris, this has been an outstanding interview. I'm so proud of you because, as you said, I remember when you had your studio in your home, and to see your growth and your development, and not just in the church world and the conference world, but you're working doing jobs for universities and corporate America. You become the almost the name brand in this Richmond Tri-Cities area. And I'm just privileged to know you and know your family, and in whatever way I can to support you and promote you and push you. We're here to do that. And as you see across the bottom of the screen, please book him. Book him as soon as you can. You won't be disappointed for your birthday, wedding. I assume you do funerals, weddings. You do the whole christenings. You wouldn't book them for your own funeral, but your family could book them for the funeral. Yeah. Well, people do prepay these days, and you got conferences, you got your convocations. It's convocation season, graduation pictures, whether it's pre-K, your daycare, you have a pre-K graduation, your middle school, elementary school, high school, college. Uh, Quality photographer, but most importantly, a quality individual, and he will not disappoint you. Before I give you your final words, I want to ask this: how can I'm do it both ways? I'm put them together, and you can answer them together separate. How can the Black community and how can the church community better support entrepreneurs like yourself? You can answer them if the answer is the same, if the answer is different. You can keep them together, you can separate them. But for someone who's watching, Black community, the church community, how can we better help people like you? We're proud of you, but sometimes we don't want to support you. Or we're proud of you, but then we don't want to give you your fair compensation. So I may be even giving some of the answers, but how can we who watched this interview say he's one of us, we want him to excel, we want him to climb to the top. How can we as the church community and as the Black community help make that happen for you?
I feel like it's both. The church or the Black community can support our Black entrepreneurs just like you support Louis Vuitton, just like you support Nike, just like you support Coca-Cola. You don't go and haggle them for their prices. You go ahead and you pay them their worth. I feel like many times I'll speak to the church world. You feel like, well, I'm a ministry or I'm a nonprofit. I need a discount. Well, unfortunately, Dominion Power doesn't give me a discount on my light bill. Unfortunately, when that water bill needs to be paid, I have to pay those bills. And so while I do give discounts and I, do that for, people, it's unfortunate that people always come out the gate with, I don't need a discount.
Right.
And we all pay who we want to pay based on how we value them. And we don't show value for people in their service when we always want a handout from them.
Wow.
Ironically, my neighbor, I have a Hispanic neighbor who has a limousine. And so people know that I rent cars also. And so they say, is that yours too? I'm like, no, it's not mine. I said, but they have a wedding venue. And they do their food, they do the fishing, they do all those services. And Hispanics support Hispanics. Like no end. Actually, it was today I was speaking to the person. She's a banker, and she's like, they will come in. She's she is a high level bank representative. They have Hispanic people come in the bank, and they say they're looking for the Hispanic representative. Hey, is this person here? Do you have someone who speaks Spanish? And say no, they are lunch. Well, they'll come back in an hour, or they'll wait till later on to come back to work with that Hispanic representative. If you have Italians, any race and nationality, they support their own. And sometimes we fail to support our own people, and our businesses don't thrive sometimes because we won't support us. The other people are going to support their people, but we support everybody else.
And sometimes the narrative is, when it comes to minority businesses, that low quality, overpriced. But I think, as you have explained, that in your business, quality is top priority, and affordable prices, fair prices. And so maybe not everybody has high quality. Maybe not everybody has reasonable prices. But when you find somebody who is of high quality and someone who is of integrity, not going to take your money and not show up to the event or hold your photos hostage like some photographers would do. But when you have somebody who's of integrity, is going to show up. If something comes up, it's going to communicate with you. Even as he said, sometimes having to miss historic family events because he's honoring his contract. A person who is a family man, married for a number of years, 15 years, 2 children. These are the type of individuals that we should support wholeheartedly, endorse, give them more than what they're asking for, because you're sowing into good ground. And sometimes we always look for a blessing, but I think sometimes we overlook the opportunities where God has positioned us to be a blessing, to have that kingdom network, to promote those who come from within our own background, our own stock, and say, hey, we love, not only we love you in terms of verbal affirmation, but that we love you, that anytime we need your business, or if anybody we know who needs your business, or even using social media platforms to say, hey, here's the link to his social media page or website. Let's promote our brothers and sisters, because as he even shared, he's a cheerful giver. He's going to give back to the kingdom. If you ever heard him lead worship, he's been to our church. He's even preached at our church. He is a kingdom man, kingdom ambassador, and we're grateful for the divine connection that he's afforded our family with your family, and how much you have inspired me, even in some areas of my life. You've been a role model to me in this conversation. I want other people to watch, but even if it's just you talking to me, and it had to come through this platform, I am grateful for people that God has placed in my life, like yourself, to talk with and to glean from. And so I have his cash up on the screen. You can, if you want to just sow into him directly, lunch money. You talked about that Starbucks for teachers, and you just say, I just want to bless you, be encouraged. His cash app is on the screen. If you want to give it to him for his wife to have a date night, if you want to give it to him to give to his children, I'm sure he didn't ask for it, but I'm sure he'll be appreciative of it. His website is at the bottom where you can book him for all of your events. And so we're grateful to have Dwayne Morris with us. You can view this on our Where Would the Mantle Fall Facebook page, also the Law Officer Travell Travis YouTube channel. You can also see it on our LinkedIn page, as well as our Twitter account. It'll also be aired on our podcast, which is available on Apple, Spotify, Mantle Mondays. You can subscribe to that to get content like this and others. Next week, we'll have Pastor Kyron Shorter, who is the International Young People's Union President for the Pentecostal Assemblies of the World, who will be our speaker. The third Monday in May, we have Maynard Smith, who is a government contractor, who also deals with diversity, inclusion, minority businesses. So if you're interested in government contracting, special opportunities for minority businesses, join us on the third Monday. The fourth Monday in June, we have Joy Johnson, who's an author, realtor, and entrepreneur. You're looking to expand your brand and to she is the Maryland Small Business Owner of the Year. And so come hear her story about being mother and a wife and expanding her business as well. So Dwayne, I'm going to drop out the screen. I want you to give closing words of encouragement. Just let the Lord just speak out of you like a geyser, that well of water that's in you. Just let it pour out to somebody who's watching. Whatever the Lord places on you, give those words, and then close us out with prayer. And we'll see you all next Monday for Mantle Mondays. God bless you. Dwayne is.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight on Mantle Mondays. Thank you, Bishop Travis, for this opportunity to speak to your audience, to speak to you, and just to have this conversation. I want to say, for anybody who is contemplating being a photographer or wants to know more about photography, we have a group that I'm a part of. It's called the Peculiar Collective. It's on Facebook, or you can send me an inbox and I can give you the information. We have an awesome, diverse group of photographers from all across the country and in some of the other parts of the world, who just come together. We chat, we talk about, business. They talk about that mentorship. We help each other out, and we are willing to, help you too if you need to connect with a group of people. I do want to shout out my pastor, District Elder Wesley Taylor at Calvary Temple in Petersburg. I want to shout out my home church, Refuge Temple Ministries in Alberta, Virginia, with District Elder Ivan Harville. My parents, Dwayne and Linda Morris, who have absolutely supported me. My siblings have all been there pushing me along the way. They definitely share and support my business. And of course, my wife and children at home, Dominique, Zion, and Judah, who definitely are waiting for me when I get at home with their arms open. Judah's definitely ready to hug me down, and Zion wants to go with me, who's even, just picked up a camera of her own now, and definitely wants to, do her thing. But I just really love all of you and appreciate you and for what you've done in my life. And anybody else out there who has just feel the press of, business, you see a need, like whatever it is, doesn't have to be photography, but wherever God is leading you, definitely, put your hands to work in the area. If you have a passion for something and you see a need, then, get your hands to it. And if the opportunity comes where you're going to, make a living or earning from it, do it as unto God. Just give your whole self to it, and God will make the increase. He will open that door for you, whatever it is. So right now we're going to end in a prayer. Father, we thank you for this time. We thank you for all those who have joined us on this call, oh God. We ask you to bless them with whatever it is that they stand in need of. Lord, let your will be done in their lives. Your name be praised, be glorified, and we give you thanks. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Continue to bless Pastor Travis and his ministry. Amen. Thank you all. Have a good night.
If you're concerned about the future of your organization when you step down, then where will the mantle fall? A biblical and legal guide to succession planning is a must-read for you. It delves into the scriptural and legal aspect of succession planning, characteristics of successors, the people, the process, church bylaws, common myths, even issues with nepotism. Where will the mantle fall? Written by Richmond's own attorney, Pastor Travell Travis, and available at Amazon.com. Looking to start a church, business, or nonprofit organization in 2022? Do you need help forming an LLC, applying for a copyright or trademark, revising church laws, crafting a succession plan, or developing a compensation package for your pastor and staff? Contact the law office of Travell Travis, a Richmond-based legal boutique focused on the needs of pastors, entrepreneurs, creatives, and our community. Let's make your vision a reality in 2022. Visit TravellTravis.com. That's TravellTravis.com.